Hey everyone, welcome to Midnight Mystic Stories. I noticed a lot of you who are watching and enjoying the content aren't subscribed yet. If you love spine-chilling stories, creepy encounters, and unexplained mysteries, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. It really helps the channel grow and helps us keep bringing more of the content you love. And be sure to comment below where you are tuning in from. Thank you and enjoy the video. I never thought swiping right on some random girl would end up making me question whether I actually exist or if I'm just a character in someone else's messed up story. It started like any other night, me slouched on my couch, pizza box open on the coffee table, crumbs all over my sweatpants, phone glowing in the dark. My thumb was on autopilot, flicking left, 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 until her face stopped me. Not because she was the most stunning girl I'd ever seen, she wasn't, but because something about her eyes made me pause. They were dark, almost too dark, like the kind of eyes that don't reflect light no matter how bright the photo. Her name was Lila. Bio said she liked long walks, horror movies, and things that shouldn't be found. Cheesy, but I liked the edge. I swiped right. Match. We started talking, and she had this way of making everything feel like a secret, even when she said something normal like, "How's your day?" It felt like she was telling me something she wasn't supposed to. She sent a selfie later that night, standing in front of a foggy window, her face half lit by a street lamp. The background looked like an old apartment building, the kind with peeling paint and rusted fire escapes. I asked where she lived. She said, "Somewhere you wouldn't look." That should have been my first red flag, but I was already hooked. We talked every day after that. She didn't send many pics, just one here and there, her hand holding a coffee cup, a shadow on a wall, the corner of a room with a mirror reflecting nothing. Her messages always came at odd times, like 3:17 a.m. or 1:08 p.m. on a Tuesday. Never regular, and she never answered voice notes. Said her phone was broken. I believed her. I don't know why. Maybe because I wanted to believe her. A week in, she suggested we meet. Not a bar, not a cafe. Her place. Said she didn't like crowds. I hesitated, but she sent a photo of her living room, cozy, dim lighting, books stacked on a shelf, a cat curled up on the couch. It looked normal, safe. She gave me an address in the old industrial district, a part of town I'd only driven through a few times. Warehouses, abandoned factories, a few converted lofts. I Googled the building. It came up as Vega Lofts, luxury urban living. Sounded legit. I told myself I wasn't dumb. I left my location shared with my sister, texted her the address, and brought my pocket knife, the one I keep in my backpack just in case. I got there around 8. The building was taller than I expected, all glass and steel, but the lights were off except for one floor near the top. The front door was unlocked, which was weird, but I figured someone must have left it open. The lobby was empty, marble floor, cold under my shoes. No security desk, no cameras, just silence. I took the elevator to the 12th floor. The doors opened with a soft ding, and the hallway was dim, lit by flickering bulbs. I walked slowly, counting doors. 1207 hers. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Then I heard it, a soft thud from inside, like something falling. I called her name. Nothing. My phone buzzed. A message from Lila. Doors unlocked. Come in. I turned the handle. It opened easy. The apartment was dark. I stepped in, said her name again. Smelled dust and something else. Wet paper, maybe, or old wood. I found a light switch. Nothing happened. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the dark, hitting a wall covered in photos. My breath caught. Every single one was of me. Not recent. Old ones. Me walking to my car last month. Me buying gas 2 weeks ago. Me sleeping on my couch. Same sweatpants. Same pizza box. Me in the shower, steam on the glass. My silhouette blurred but unmistakable. Me brushing my teeth. Me tying my shoes. Me looking out my window. Me. Hundreds of them. Taped to the wall. Arranged in a spiral pattern like some kind of shrine. My stomach dropped. I backed up, hit something soft. Turned. It was a mannequin dressed in my clothes. Same hoodie, same jeans, same shoes. It had no face, just smooth plastic where features should be. I ran for the door. Locked. Tried my phone. No signal. Threw it against the wall. It shattered. I pounded on the door, yelled, kicked. Nothing. The silence pressed in, thick and heavy. Then I heard breathing. Not mine. From the bedroom. Slow, steady. I didn't want to go, but I had to. I had to know. The bedroom door was ajar. I pushed it open. The room was empty except for a bed and a nightstand. On it, a digital recorder. I pressed play. My voice came out, but not from me. Still hasn't figured it out. He thinks he's the one being watched. Cute. He messages her. He waits for replies. He gets nervous before meeting her. But he doesn't get it. She's not real. I made her. I made all of it. The profile, the messages, the photos. I've been talking to myself for weeks. Not because I'm lonely. Because I needed to see how far I'd go. Would I come here? Would I panic? Would I run? And look at you. You're here. You're scared. You're exactly where I wanted you. I froze. That was my voice. But I never recorded that. The recording kept going. You think you're the victim. But you're not. You're the experiment. And the scary part? You didn't even question it. You believed in Lila because you wanted to. You wanted someone to notice you. To talk to you. To want you. So you built her. Just like I did. Except I didn't stop at imagination. I built this place. I moved in weeks ago. I've been watching you watch yourself. And now you're here, realizing you're not the hunter. You're the mouse. Always were. The door behind me clicked. I turned. The mannequin was gone. In its place stood a guy who looked exactly like me. Same haircut, same scar above the eyebrow, same stupid wristwatch I never take off. He smiled. Not a friendly smile. A knowing one. You took the bait, he said. I wondered if you would. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. He stepped forward. You don't get it yet, do you? There's no Lila. There's no stalker. There's no conspiracy. It's just you. And me. And the fact that we're the same person. I've been living here for months, setting this up, waiting for you to show up. Because I needed to know if you'd break. If you'd finally see the truth. And you did. You're standing in a room full of your own face, and you finally get it. You're not being hunted. You're not special. You're just alone. And you made up a girl to feel less alone. Just like I did. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a phone. My phone. The one I smashed. It was intact. He tapped the screen. Opened Tinder. My profile. Then hers. Lila. He pressed message. A new text appeared, sent from her account. You're late. I was starting to think you wouldn't come. He looked at me. I sent that 5 minutes ago. From your phone. From your hand. You don't remember because you were too focused on the photos. But you did it. You're already part of the loop. I backed up until I hit the wall. My head throbbed. My vision blurred. None of this made sense. But the worst part? A tiny piece of me believed him. He walked past me. Opened the front door. You can leave if you want. But you won't. Because tomorrow, you'll wake up in your apartment, check your phone, and see a message from Lila. And you'll reply. Because you need her. Just like I did. Just like we both do. He stepped out, closed the door behind him. I heard his footsteps fade down the hall. I don't know how long I stood there. Eventually, I found the fire exit. Ran down 12 flights. Burst out into the cold night. My car was where I left it. I drove home. Hands shaking. Eyes jumping to the rearview mirror. No one followed. I got inside, locked the door, collapsed on the couch. My phone was dead. I charged it. It buzzed to life. One new message. From Lila. Had fun tonight. Let's do it again soon. I never thought I'd be one of those people. The kind who actually meets someone on Tinder and thinks, wow, this might be real. I've seen the memes, the horror stories, the ones where some dude shows up in a ski mask or turns out to be married with 3 kids and a goat farm. But when I matched with Jake, it just felt different. His profile was clean. Not too many pics, just him hiking, grilling, smiling next to a golden retriever. No shirtless bathroom mirror shots. No fish he probably bought at the grocery store. He said he liked long walks, bad horror movies, and making people laugh. Boring? Maybe. But safe. Safe sounded good after the last guy ghosted me mid-conversation while I was telling him about my anxiety. We talked for 2 weeks before agreeing to meet. Not rushed, not pushy. He asked about my job, my dog, whether I believed in ghosts. I told him I didn't, but I used to sleep with the hallway light on until I was 21. He said he used to do the same. Little things like that made me feel like maybe, just maybe, he got it. We settled on meeting at this little coffee shop downtown, the kind with mismatched chairs and local art on the walls. I wore jeans and my favorite hoodie, the one with the hole near the pocket that I can't bring myself to throw away. I got there early, ordered a caramel latte, and sat by the window, watching people pass by. He walked in 10 minutes late, apologizing, saying traffic was a nightmare. He looked exactly like his pictures, maybe a little taller. His handshake was firm, not sweaty. We talked for an hour, then 2. He made me laugh so hard I snorted into my cup. When he paid for my drink, I didn't even protest. We decided to walk around the park nearby, just to stretch our legs. It was one of those perfect fall evenings, crisp air, leaves crunching underfoot, the kind of night that makes you believe in magic. That's when it started. Not dramatically, not with a jump scare or a whisper, just a feeling, like someone was watching us from the trees. I glanced over my shoulder a few times, but there was never anyone there. Jake didn't seem to notice. He kept talking, telling me about his job as a contractor, how he restored old houses, the satisfaction of bringing something broken back to life. I nodded, smiled, but my skin itched. The park got quieter the further we walked. Fewer people, fewer lights. The path curved toward a small bridge over a dried-up creek. He stopped there, leaning on the railing, looking down. You ever stand somewhere and just know it's wrong? Not scary, not dangerous, just deeply, fundamentally wrong? That's how I felt. The air was too still. The leaves didn't rustle. Even the city sounds, cars, sirens, music, had faded into nothing. I looked at Jake. He was smiling, but it didn't reach his eyes. His face looked off, like a mask someone had stretched over something else. I took a step back. He turned his head slowly, like he was underwater, and said, "You feel it too, don't you?" I didn't answer. My throat was tight. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, old-looking key. Not metal, more like wood, carved with symbols I didn't recognize. He held it up, let it dangle from a thin leather cord. "Found this in the basement of the house I'm working on," he said. "It wasn't on any of the doors. Doesn't fit anything. But every time I hold it, I hear her. My mom," he said. "She died when I was 7. I don't remember much, just her voice. And this key. She used to carry it everywhere." I swallowed. That's heavy." He nodded. Then he looked at me, really looked at me, and said, "You remind me of her." I forced a laugh. That's a weird thing to say on a first date, but it's true. Same eyes. Same way you tilt your head when you're thinking. Same scar above your lip. I froze. I have a scar above my lip. Tiny, pale, from when I fell off my bike at 8. No way he could have seen that in the dim light. No way he'd know. I took another step back. My heart was pounding now, loud in my ears. "I need to go," I said. He didn't move. Just kept smiling that empty smile. "You don't remember her, do you?" "Who?" "The woman who raised you. Your grandmother." "Yeah," I said. "She died last year." He nodded again, slow. "She wasn't your grandmother." I stopped breathing. "She was your mom," he said. "You were adopted. She told me that the night she died. Said she was sorry she lied, but she couldn't lose you." None of this made sense. My hands were shaking. My vision blurred at the edges. "You're lying," I said. My voice cracked. He reached into his other pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Handed it to me. It was a birth certificate. My name, my birth date, but the mother's name wasn't the woman I called Grandma. It was someone else. A woman named Lillian Hart. Jake's last name was Hart. "No," I said. No. She was my sister," he said. "Your real mom. She gave you up when she was 16. Couldn't handle it. But she never stopped thinking about you. Followed your life from afar. When she got sick, she made me promise to find you. to give you this." He held out the key again. I didn't take it. I backed away fast. My breath came in short gasps. This was insane. A prank. A sick, messed up joke. I turned and ran, didn't look back. I didn't stop until I was 2 blocks away, leaning against a bus stop, trying to catch my breath. I went home, locked the door, checked every room, turned on all the lights, spent the night on the couch, my dog curled against my side, watching the shadows. The next day, I called my aunt, the only family I had left. She answered on the second ring. I asked her about my mom, about my birth. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I thought you knew." My world cracked open. She told me everything. How my real mom was her younger sister. How she disappeared after giving birth. How they never saw her again. How my grandmother had adopted me to keep me in the family. How she'd sworn everyone to secrecy, afraid I'd hate her if I found out. I hung up, sat on the floor, stared at the wall. That night, I dreamed about the park, about Jake standing on the bridge, holding the key. In the dream, he wasn't smiling. He was crying. And behind him, in the trees, I saw her. A young woman, pale, dressed in old clothes, reaching out. Her eyes, my eyes, filled with sorrow. I woke up sweating. My phone was buzzing on the nightstand. A notification. Jake had messaged me. Just one line. "She's not at peace. You have to come back." I deleted the message, turned off my phone. But the key. I couldn't stop thinking about the key. What did it open? Where did it come from? Why did it feel like it was calling to me? 3 days later, I found myself standing in front of an old Victorian house on the edge of town. Peeling paint, overgrown yard, windows like hollow eyes. A for sale sign hung crooked in the grass. I didn't know how I got there. Didn't remember driving. But I knew this place. I'd never been here, but I knew it. The front door was unlocked. Inside, dust hung in the air. Floorboards groaned under my weight. The walls were covered in peeling floral paper, the kind from the 70s. I walked through the living room, the kitchen, up the creaking stairs. At the end of the hall was a door I knew wasn't supposed to be there. Small, made of dark wood, with a keyhole shaped like a teardrop. My hand shook as I reached into my pocket. I didn't remember taking it. But there it was, the wooden key. I slid it in. It turned with a soft click. The door opened into a tiny room. No windows. Just a cot, a shelf, and a small mirror on the wall. On the shelf sat a photo in a cracked frame. A teenage girl, smiling, holding a baby. Me. And on the cot, a journal. I opened it. The first page read, "Asterisk, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry I couldn't raise you. But I left something for you. Something to protect you. He's still out there. And he knows where you are. Asterisk." My breath caught. The last entry was dated the day she died. Asterisk, he came again tonight. I told him I gave the key to my brother. I lied. It's with you. He'll never stop looking. Never stop hunting. Don't trust anyone with the key. Don't let him take it. If he gets it, he gets you. Asterisk. I dropped the journal. Behind me, the door slammed shut. I turned. Jake was standing in the corner. Not smiling. Not crying. Just watching. "You shouldn't have come alone," he said. But it wasn't his voice. It was hers. So I never thought I'd be one of those people who actually meets someone on Tinder and ends up with a story that makes my friends go quiet when I tell it. I mean, come on. We've all heard the wild ones. Girl meets guy. They go to his place. Next thing you know, she's tied up in a basement with a goat. But that stuff only happens in movies or to people who post about crystals and energy healing, right? Not me. I'm just some dude who works at a bike shop, lives in a one-bedroom apartment above a laundromat, and swipes right when someone looks like they might actually laugh at my dumb memes. I matched with her on a Tuesday night. Her name was Lila. Her first photo was her standing in front of a foggy lake, wearing a gray sweater that looked too big on her, arms crossed like she was cold even though it must have been summer. Her bio said she liked long walks, horror movies, and finding things people leave behind. That last part weirded me out a little, but in a cool way, like she was mysterious, but not trying too hard. Her other pics were normal enough. Her with a dog I didn't recognize, her holding a coffee cup, one of her reading a book with the title blurred out. Nothing screamed psycho. So I sent a dumb joke about bikes and fate. Something like, if you were a bicycle, you'd be a ride. And she actually laughed. We started texting. Not like constant or obsessive, but easy. She asked questions, remembered small things I mentioned, like how I hate cilantro or that I used to collect action figures as a kid. After a few days, I asked if she wanted to grab coffee. She said she didn't really do coffee shops. Too many people. Too loud. She suggested meeting at this park near the river, the one with the old stone bridge and the walking trails that wind into the woods. It wasn't far from where I lived. I checked Google Maps, saw it was well lit near the entrance, and figured it was fine. It was still light out when I got there, around 6:30. The air was thick and smelled like wet grass and something else, kind of metallic, like rain on pavement before it actually rains. She was already there, sitting on a bench near the path, wearing the same gray sweater from her photo. Her hair was dark, almost black, pulled into a loose braid. She looked up when I got close and smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. They were pale, like the color of weak tea, and she blinked slow, like she was tired or drugged. I sat down, said hey, and we started talking. It was awkward at first, the kind of awkward that happens when you've texted a lot, but never heard the person's voice. But then she told this story about how she once found a shoe in the middle of the woods with no foot in it, just sitting there like someone took it off, and walked away barefoot. She said she kept it for a week, tried to find who it belonged to, but no one claimed it. Eventually she buried it. People leave things behind all the time, she said. Not just objects, feelings, memories, pieces of themselves. I didn't know what to say to that, so I laughed it off, told her she sounded like a poet or a cult leader. She didn't laugh, just looked at me like she was seeing through my skin. We walked for a while, following the trail into the trees. The path narrowed, and the light started to fade. I checked my phone, no service. Lila didn't seem to care. She kept walking, hands in her pockets, shoulders hunched. I asked if she came here often. She said she comes when she needs to think, that she likes the quiet. It's easier to hear things when it's quiet, she said. I didn't ask what things. The deeper we went, the more the air changed. It got colder, even though it was still summer, and the trees crowded in, their branches tangling overhead like they were trying to block out the sky. I started noticing stuff, little things that didn't make sense. A child's hair tie on a branch, a single earring caught in the bark of a tree, a torn page from a book, half buried in the dirt, the words smudged and unreadable. I pointed them out, but Lila just nodded like they were supposed to be there. Then we passed this spot where the trail split. One side went uphill, the other dipped down into a hollow. She took the downhill path, without hesitation. I hesitated. My gut said turn back, but I didn't want to look like a wimp, so I followed. The hollow was darker, the ground soft and spongy underfoot. Moss covered the roots, and the air smelled like damp earth and something else, something sour, like old milk. In the center of the clearing was a tree massive, its trunk split down the middle like it had been struck by lightning, and carved into the bark, deep and jagged, were names, dozens of them, some fresh, some faded. I leaned in, squinting. One said Daniel, 2018. Another, Mia, 2020. And then, near the bottom, I saw it. My name, carved clean and deep, like it had been there for years. Lila, I said, voice cracking. What the hell is this? She didn't answer. I turned around, and she was gone. Not like she walked away. Gone. Like she vanished. The woods were silent. No birds, no wind. Just my breath, loud in my ears. I pulled out my phone. Still no signal. I started walking back, fast, then jogging, then full-on sprinting. The path twisted, looked different on the way back. I swear I passed the same moss-covered rock 3 times. My chest burned. My legs ached. And then I saw the bridge, the one from her first photo. I ran toward it, desperate to get out, to see cars, streetlights, anything normal. But when I got close, I saw something on the other side. A figure, standing still, wearing a gray sweater. It was me. Not a reflection. Not a trick of the light. Me. Same haircut, Same stupid jacket I was wearing. Same scuff on my left sneaker. But he wasn't moving. Just standing there, staring at me like he knew I was coming. I stopped. My heart was slamming against my ribs. I backed up, turned, ran into the trees. Branches slapped my face. I didn't care. I just wanted out. I don't know how long I ran, but eventually I burst out onto a road. A real road. Streetlights. A gas station. I walked inside, shaky. Asked the clerk if I could use the phone. He looked at me like I was crazy, but let me call a cab. Back at my apartment, I locked the door, checked every room, even under the bed. I poured a drink, hands still shaking. I opened my laptop, went to Tinder, searched for Lila. Her profile was gone. No matches, no messages. Like she never existed. I thought I was safe. I thought it was over. But this morning, I was putting on my boots and I felt something inside the left one. I turned it upside down and out fell a small, folded piece of paper. I opened it. Handwritten in neat cursive. You left this behind. And underneath, a Polaroid photo. It was me, asleep in my bed last night. The camera angle was from the corner of the room, and in the reflection of my bedroom window, I could see her, standing behind me, smiling. I haven't slept since. I keep checking the locks. I don't go outside after dark. I deleted the app, blocked her number even though it doesn't work. But last night, I heard something outside my window. A soft tap, like a branch. But there are no trees near my window. And today, when I opened my closet, I found a gray sweater hanging in the back. It wasn't there yesterday. I don't know how she got in. I don't know how she knows me. But I know one thing. People leave things behind. And she's collecting them. So this happened last winter, when the city was buried under that thick, suffocating gray sky for like 3 weeks straight. No sun, just this constant drizzle that made everything feel damp and kind of rotten, like the world had forgotten how to dry out. I was living alone in that tiny basement apartment off Elm and 3rd, the kind of place where the water heater hums like it's angry at you and the walls smell faintly like old laundry and someone else's cooking. I hadn't dated in over a year, not since Maya left for Portland and took my favorite hoodie with her. My friends kept saying I should get back out there. So one night, after too many beers and a rerun of some crime doc about people meeting online and disappearing, I downloaded Tinder. Figured, what the hell? Worst that happens. I waste an hour talking to someone who sends foot pics. That's how I matched with Eli. His profile was weirdly simple. Just 2 pictures. One of him standing in front of a lake at sunset, arms crossed, wearing a dark jacket, face slightly blurred like he didn't want to be recognized. The second was a close-up of his hands holding a book. No face at all. Bio said, looking for someone who listens better than they speak. No job, no hobbies, no mutual friends. But something about the way he wrote made me pause. Not flirty, not pushy. Just quiet. And I like quiet. After Maya, loud people felt exhausting. We started texting. He asked about my job at the bookstore, what I was reading, if I believed in silence as a kind of language. I thought he was being poetic, but he meant it literally. Said he could tell a lot about people by how they paused between sentences, that their silence had texture. I laughed at first, but then I started noticing my own pauses. How I type something, delete it, type it again. He noticed. He always noticed. We talked for 2 weeks before he suggested meeting. Not dinner, not a bar. He asked if I'd meet him at the old observatory on the hill, the one closed since the 80s. Said it had the best view of the stars, and that he liked places where time felt broken. I hesitated. That place was creepy as hell. Windows boarded up, graffiti everywhere. Kids dared each other to go inside. But he said he'd be outside, on the bench near the telescope dome, wearing a black beanie. No pressure. Just if I wanted to. I went. It was freezing that night. Wind cutting through my jacket like it wasn't even there. The path up the hill was slick with wet leaves, and the streetlights stopped halfway. So the last stretch was just me and my phone flashlight, casting long shadows that moved wrong when I blinked. When I saw the silhouette on the bench, my chest tightened. It was him. Same jacket, same beanie pulled low. He didn't turn when I approached, just kept looking up at the sky. I sat down. He didn't speak. just nodded, like he'd been expecting me for hours. We sat in silence for maybe 10 minutes, maybe 20. I kept waiting for him to say something, but he didn't. And weirdly, it didn't feel awkward. It felt heavy, like the air between us was thick with something unspoken. Then he turned his head slowly and looked at me. His eyes were light, almost gray in the moonlight, and there was no warmth in them. Not cold, not angry, just empty, like he was looking through me. He said my name. Just that. Not hey, or you came. Just my name, spoken so softly it barely cut through the wind. And then he smiled. Not a real smile. One that started too late and ended too fast. We started seeing each other after that. Always at night. Always in quiet places. The back row of the 24-hour laundromat. The empty playground behind the elementary school. Once in the parking garage under the mall. Sitting in my car with the windows fogged. Listening to the hum of the lights above. He never touched me. Never leaned in. But he watched. All the time. And he asked questions that didn't feel like questions. Like, do you ever feel like your reflection blinks a second after you do? Or when you dream, do the people in them know they're not real? I try to answer, but he'd just stare and say, close, but not quite. Then the texts changed. They came at odd hours. 3:17 a.m. You left the back door unlocked tonight. I checked. It was locked. I texted back. No, I didn't. No reply. Next night. You keep your keys under the mat. It's not safe. I didn't. I always kept them in my coat pocket. I asked how he knew that. He said, I know how you move through your apartment. I know where you pause. I know when you stop breathing. I blocked him. Deleted the app. Changed my number. Thought that was it. But then the dream started. Same one, over and over. Me standing in my apartment, but everything was slightly off. The couch was against the wrong wall. The bookshelf was mirrored. And there was someone in the bedroom. Not moving. Just standing in the dark, facing the bed. I tried to scream, but my voice wouldn't work. And then I'd wake up, drenched, heart slamming, and swear I heard breathing from the other side of the door. I started checking the locks 5 times before bed. I unplugged the landline because it kept ringing at 3 a.m., with no one on the other end. I stopped going out at night. Stopped answering calls from unknown numbers. I even bought a cheap door alarm, the kind that beeps if the frame shifts. Felt stupid, but it helped. For a while. Then one night, I woke up to the sound of pages turning. I froze. My room was pitch black. No lights on. No phone glow. But I could hear it. Slow, deliberate flipping. Like someone reading in bed. Not from the living room. From right behind me. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just lay there, eyes wide, listening. The sound stopped. Then a whisper. So close it felt like breath on my neck. You talk in your sleep. I jumped up, fumbled for the lamp, turned it on. Nothing. Bedroom empty. Door still closed. Alarm silent. I checked every corner, under the bed, behind the door. Nothing. But on my nightstand, next to my water glass, was a book. One I didn't own. Plain black cover, no title. I opened it. Blank pages. Every single one. I threw it in the trash. Next morning, it was back on my nightstand. Same book. Still blank. I took it to work. Showed it to Sarah, my manager. She flipped through it. Shrugged. Weird. Maybe a shoplifter dropped it, and you picked it up without realizing. I didn't think so. I remembered every book I'd handled that week. This wasn't one of them. That night, I burned it in the metal bin behind the building. Watched the pages curl and blacken, the cover split and smoke. Felt stupid doing it, but also relieved. Until I got home. The smell hit me first. Burnt paper, but underneath, something sour, like wet soil. My apartment was freezing. Heat was off, but I could see my breath. The lights wouldn't turn on. Circuit breaker was fine. Phone died the second I walked in. No signal. And then I saw it. On my bed. The book. Dry. Intact. No scorch marks. I backed out, called a cab. Spent the night at a motel. Next day, I packed a bag. Told my boss I needed time off. Booked a bus ticket to my sister's in Ohio. I wasn't coming back. Not for weeks. Not until I felt safe. I left in the afternoon. Made sure the door was locked. Threw the key in my bag. Got to the bus station. Waited. Boarded. Sat by the window, exhausted, finally letting myself relax. As the bus pulled away, I looked out and saw him, standing across the street. Same jacket, same beanie, holding a book. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking down, turning the pages. And as the bus turned the corner, I saw what was on the page. My name, then a line, then the date, then the time, then a blank space. Like it was waiting. I got off at the next stop, walked 3 blocks, hid in a coffee shop bathroom until closing, slept in the 24-hour laundromat again, avoided cameras, changed my hair, stopped using my real name. But last night, I came home. Had to. Left my meds behind. Needed them. Snuck in after midnight. Quiet as I could. Checked every room. Nothing. Felt safe for the first time in weeks. Went to bed. Woke up to the sound of writing. Pen on paper. Slow. Steady. From the kitchen table. I crept out. Heart in my throat. Grabbed the fire poker from beside the stove. Peered around the corner. No one. But on the table, under the dim light, was the book. Open. And on the page, written in neat, careful handwriting, "You shouldn't have come back." And below that, a new line. Today's date. And the time. And then, in fresh ink, still wet, "He's not writing the book. You are." I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who ends up on one of those true crime podcasts. You know, the ones where someone says, "He seemed so normal." And then the narrator drops some creepy music, and you realize the guy lived 2 blocks from you, and you once bought coffee at the same place. But here I am, sitting in my room with the door locked, blinds pulled, and every light on, because of a girl I matched with on Tinder named Lila. It started like any other boring Tuesday night. I was scrolling through profiles, half watching a show I wasn't really into, just killing time. Most of the girls either looked like they'd spent 2 hours posing for their pics or had 0 personality in their bios. Then Lila popped up. Her first photo wasn't some filtered selfie in a bathroom mirror. It was her standing in front of an old brick building with ivy crawling up the side, wearing a denim jacket and holding a book. Her smile was small, real, like she didn't care if you thought she was pretty or not. Her bio said, "I like quiet places, thunderstorms, and stories that don't have happy endings." That last part stuck with me. I swiped right. Match. We started talking, and it wasn't the usual small talk. No, "Hey, how's your day?" Or "What do you do?" She asked if I believed in déjà vu, and when I said yeah, kind of, she replied, "I think it's memories from lives we didn't finish living." That should have been my first red flag, but I was into it. There was something about her words that felt heavy, like each one had been weighed before she sent it. We talked for hours that night. She told me she lived alone in a converted old schoolhouse on the edge of town, surrounded by woods. Said the building still had chalkboards in some rooms, and the floors creaked like they were whispering. I thought she was just being poetic. I didn't know she meant it literally. We decided to meet. Not dinner, not a bar. She suggested a walk through the ravine trail near her place. Said it was peaceful at night, especially when it rained. I thought that was kind of weird, but also kind of cool. I've always liked the rain. So last Friday, I drove out past the last gas station, past the turn for the old quarry, down a narrow road with trees arching over like a tunnel. Her house was exactly how she described. 2 stories, red brick, windows like tired eyes. No lights on except one in the upstairs corner. She was waiting outside, leaning against the porch railing. Wore the same denim jacket, hair half up, half down. When she smiled, it didn't reach her eyes. They were dark, too dark, like the kind of brown that looks black in certain light. She didn't say much at first, just nodded and said, "You came." Then we started walking. The trail was narrow, roots snaking across the path, and the trees blocked most of the moonlight. The air was thick, humid, like breathing through a wet towel. She walked ahead, her boots crunching on twigs, and I followed, trying to make small talk. But every time I said something, she'd pause, turn slightly, and just look. Not at my face, lower, like she was staring at my chest. I chalked it up to nerves. Or maybe she was just intense. People are different. Then she stopped. We were deep in now, far enough that the road noise had faded, and the only sound was the occasional drip from leaves. She pointed to a spot on the ground, covered in moss. "That's where I found it," she said. I asked what. She didn't answer, just crouched down and brushed the moss away. Underneath was a patch of dirt, darker than the rest, and something silver half-buried, ring maybe. I stepped closer, but she stood up fast, blocking my view. "You shouldn't look too long," she said. "It remembers." I laughed, but it came out weak. "Remembers what?" She turned to me, and that's when I noticed her breath didn't fog in the cold air. Mine did. Hers didn't. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe she was just warm. But then she said, "You feel it too, don't you? Like someone's watching from behind your eyes." I didn't answer. I couldn't, because in that moment I did feel it. Not fear, not yet. Something deeper, like a memory I couldn't place, of standing in this exact spot, looking at that patch of dirt, feeling the same cold dread pooling in my stomach. We kept walking. She talked about the schoolhouse, how it closed in the 70s after a teacher disappeared. No body, no clues. Just gone. They said he ran off, she said. But I think the building kept him. She said it like it was obvious, like buildings can eat people. I wanted to argue, to say that's not how things work, but my mouth felt dry, and my legs were heavy, like the air had thickened. Then she stopped again. This time she faced me. "Do you know why I picked you?" she asked. I said I didn't. "Because you've been here before," she said. "Not you, but someone like you. Same face, same hands, same fear." I took a step back. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A notification. I pulled it out. It was my own Tinder profile, open in the app. But the photos weren't mine. They were of a guy who looked like me, but older, paler. And the bio said, "Missing since 1973. Last seen near the old schoolhouse." I dropped the phone. When I looked up, Lila was still there, but her face, it wasn't the same. Her skin looked gray, stretched too tight over her bones. Her eyes were sunken, blacker than before. And behind her, in the trees, I saw shapes. Tall, thin, standing perfectly still. Watching. She reached for me, not with her hand, but with something underneath her skin, like fingers moving beneath the surface. I turned and ran. Branches slapped my face. Roots tried to trip me, but I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I burst onto the road, sprinted to my car, fumbled with the keys, and drove. I didn't stop until I was back in the city. Lights everywhere. People walking. Music from bars. I thought I was safe. But when I got home, I checked my phone again. The notification was still there. The profile. The date. 1973. I searched my own name, my parents' names, my birth certificate. Everything came back normal. But then I found an old newspaper archive. A teacher vanished from the schoolhouse. Photo attached. I looked exactly like him. Same jaw, same scar above the eyebrow, same nervous smile. I called Lila. No answer. Texted her. The message wouldn't send. Her profile is gone from Tinder. Like she was never there. But last night, I woke up to rain tapping the window. And outside, standing under the streetlight across the road, was a figure. Denim jacket. Head tilted. Not moving. This morning, I found mud on my shoes. I don't remember going out. And on my nightstand, next to my phone, is a ring. Silver. Old. With initials scratched inside JM. That was my name in the article. I don't know how long I've been asleep, or if I ever really woke up. But I know I have to go back. The trail is calling. And Lila's waiting. My hands won't stop sweating, and I keep checking the lock on the front door even though I know it's bolted. I've done it 7 times in the last 20 minutes. Maybe more. I've lost count. It started normal, just another boring Tuesday night. Scrolling through Tinder because Netflix stopped being fun and my friends were all busy pretending they had lives. Her name was Lila. Profile picture was her laughing on a beach. Sun hitting her hair, just right. The kind of photo that makes you pause even if you're not really looking for anything serious. Bio said she liked long walks, dogs, and horror movies. Basic stuff. But something about her eyes in that photo, like she was laughing but not really happy, made me swipe right. Match. She replied fast, like within seconds. Most people take hours, you know? Or they ghost after one hey. But not her. She said, "You look like trouble." I like trouble. I laughed, typed back some dumb joke about being the worst kind of trouble. And just like that we were talking. Not the usual small talk. She asked about my dreams. Not like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" but like actual dreams. The weird ones. The kind you forget by morning but feel stuck with all day. I told her about one where I was walking through an empty subway station, the lights flickering, and I could hear someone humming a lullaby but couldn't see anyone. She said she had the same dream once. Then she said, "I think we dream the same things." That should have been my first red flag, but I just thought it was cool. Weird but cool. We talked for days. Texts turning into voice notes turning into late-night calls, where we just talk about nothing and everything. She had this voice, soft, kind of sleepy, like she was always half asleep but still paying attention. I started looking forward to her messages more than I should have. Started checking my phone every few minutes, even during class. My roommate noticed, said I was acting off. I told him he was imagining things. But honestly, I was starting to feel it too. Like something was shifting. I'd catch myself staring at my reflection, wondering if I looked different. And I kept dreaming about that subway station. Every night. Same flickering lights, same hum. But now I could see a shadow at the end of the platform. Just standing there. Watching. I never told Lila about the shadow. Didn't want to freak her out. Or maybe I didn't want to admit it was getting worse. After a week, she suggested we meet. I said sure, obviously. She picked a place, this little coffee shop downtown called the Hollow Bean. Said it was quiet, out of the way. Perfect for first dates. I looked it up. It existed. Had decent reviews. Open till midnight. Nothing strange there. I got there early, grabbed a table in the back, ordered a black coffee I didn't drink. My leg wouldn't stop bouncing. I hate first meetings. Always feel like I'm being judged, like people can see how awkward I am the second I open my mouth. But when she walked in, I forgot to be nervous. She looked exactly like her pictures, but more. Her eyes were darker in person, almost black, and she had this habit of tilting her head slightly when she listened, like every word mattered. We talked for hours. About music, about cities we wanted to visit, about the feeling of driving at night with no destination. It felt easy. Too easy. Like we'd known each other forever. When she laughed, I swear the air in the room changed. Like everything got quieter just to hear it. We left together, walking through the dimly lit streets. She lived close, she said. Offered to walk me to the bus stop. I told her I didn't need it, but she insisted. "I don't like you walking alone," she said. "Bad things happen when people walk alone." I laughed it off, but the way she said it, like she knew, sent something cold through my chest. We passed an alley, and for a second I thought I saw the shadow from my dream standing there. Same shape, same stillness. I blinked and it was gone. I didn't mention it. Didn't want to sound crazy. She walked me all the way to the stop, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "See you soon." Then she turned and walked away without looking back. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept hearing the lullaby from the dream. Faint, like it was coming from inside the walls. I checked the windows, the doors, even under the bed like a kid. Nothing. But the humming didn't stop. It got louder when I closed my eyes. I ended up staying awake, scrolling through old messages from her. Noticed something weird. All her texts were sent between 2:17 and 2:19 a.m. Every single one. Even the ones from the middle of the day. I checked the timestamps. Same times. Every single one. I tried calling her. Number disconnected. Tried opening her profile. Gone. No trace. Like she never existed. I told myself she just deleted the app. People do that. But why would she pick the exact same time every day to text me? And why did she know about my dream? The next few days were a blur. I kept seeing her. Out the corner of my eye in the hallway, in the reflection of a store window, once in the back seat of a cab that passed me on the street. Always just for a second, never long enough to be sure. I stopped sleeping, started recording my dreams, wrote them down the second I woke up. Every night, the shadow got closer. Last night, it stepped onto the tracks, started walking toward me. I woke up screaming. My roommate slept through it. This morning, I found a note on my desk. Handwritten. You were supposed to stay on the train. No signature. Paper looked old, yellowed at the edges. I don't own paper like that. I didn't write it. But the handwriting, it looked like mine. I'm sitting here now because I don't know what else to do. I can't go back to sleep. I can't leave the apartment. I keep thinking about what she said that night. Bad things happen when people walk alone. And now I realize she didn't mean to protect me. She meant to warn me about her, or about what happens when you meet someone who knows your dreams better than you do. I checked the Hollow Bean today. Closed down. Has been for 2 years. Landlord said the last tenant was a girl named Lila. Died in her sleep. Official cause unknown. But the neighbors said she used to scream at night. Said she kept a journal full of other people's dreams. People she'd never met. Last entry was about a guy on a subway. Said he wouldn't get on the train. Said he was going to be late. And now I'm realizing I've never actually seen her use a phone. Not once. When we were at the coffee shop, she never pulled it out. Never checked it. Just talked. Like she didn't need it. Like she already knew everything I was going to say. The humming is back. It's coming from the closet. I can hear it now, low and slow. The same tune from the dream. I don't want to look, but I think I have to. Because part of me knows she's not in there. Part of me knows she's been here the whole time. Not in the closet. Not under the bed. Inside. Like she slipped in when I wasn't paying attention. Like she's been waiting for me to stop fighting it. My hand is shaking as I write this. I don't know if anyone will read it. I don't know if I'll remember it tomorrow. But if you're seeing this, don't meet your matches in person. Don't let them walk you anywhere. And whatever you do, don't tell them about your dreams. Especially the ones you don't understand. Especially the ones that feel too real. Because some people aren't looking for love. They're looking for a way in. And once they're inside, you won't even notice they're there. You'll just start talking like them, thinking like them, dreaming like them. And one day, someone else will read your messages and wonder why every text was sent at 2:17 a.m. Her name was Maya, and her profile picture showed her laughing on a beach. Sun hitting her face, just right. Hair blowing like one of those shampoo commercials. She had this smile that made you feel like you already knew her. Her bio said she loved horror movies, coffee, and long walks that don't end in serial killer cabins. I laughed. Swiped right. Match. We started texting that same night, and it felt easy, like we'd been talking for years. She asked about my job, my favorite pizza topping, pineapple always, and if I believed in ghosts. I said only in movies. She said she'd seen one once, in her grandma's house, but didn't want to talk about it. That's when I should have stopped. But I didn't. I wanted to know more. A week in, we decided to meet. She picked a place, a little cafe downtown called the Roasted Bean. Said it was quiet, had good lighting, and wasn't one of those loud spots where you have to scream to be heard. I got there early, like I always do, and sat by the window. Ordered a black coffee. Watched people pass by. 10 minutes before she was supposed to show, the lights flickered. Not like a power surge. More like someone was messing with the dimmer switch. I looked around. Nobody else seemed to notice. The barista kept wiping the counter, calm as ever. I shrugged it off. Probably old wiring. Then she walked in. Maya looked exactly like her pictures, except smaller. Like she took up less space than I expected. She wore a gray sweater that hung too loose on her frame, and her eyes were darker than I thought. Not in color, but in expression. Like they were tired of seeing things. She smiled when she saw me, but it didn't reach her eyes. We hugged, awkward, quick, and she sat across from me. Her hands were pale, fingers long and bony. She didn't order anything. Said she wasn't hungry. Just wanted to talk. And talk we did. She told me about her job at a vet clinic, her 2 cats, how she hated thunderstorms, because they reminded her of her childhood. She spoke softly, like she was afraid someone would overhear. I found myself leaning in, trying to catch every word. There was something about her voice, low, steady, like a whisper that never ends. After an hour, she said she had to go. Her ride was waiting. I didn't see a car outside, but I didn't ask. I just nodded, said I'd text her later. We kept seeing each other. Not every day, but enough that I started thinking about her when I wasn't with her. She always picked the spots. This one park bench near the river, a used bookstore with no name, once even an empty parking garage at midnight. Said she liked places where no one went. I should have questioned that, but I didn't. I liked being with her. She made me feel seen, like she knew things about me I hadn't even told her. Then the dream started. Same one every night. I'm walking through a house I've never been in. Dark wood floors, old wallpaper peeling at the corners. There's a hallway that stretches too long, and at the end, a door slightly open. I can hear someone humming. A woman's voice. Soft, sad. I walk toward it, but the hallway never ends. And then I wake up, heart pounding, sheets soaked. I never told Maya about the dreams. But one night, out of nowhere, she said, "You've been dreaming about the house, haven't you?" I froze. What house? The one with the red door. I didn't say anything, because in the dream, the door wasn't red. It was white, but I didn't correct her. I just nodded. She smiled like she'd won something. Things got weirder after that. I'd find things moved in my apartment when I got home. My keys weren't where I left them. My laptop was open to a browser tab, showing an old photo of a house I didn't recognize. I didn't search for it. I closed it fast. But later, I looked it up. It was a real place, abandoned on the edge of town. Built in the 1920s. Burned down in the 70s. No one lived there since. At least, that's what the article said. I showed Maya the picture. She stared at it for a long time, then said, "That's where she died." Who died? The woman who lived there. Her name was Lila. She used to sing to herself while cleaning. That's what the neighbors said. I didn't ask how she knew. I didn't want to, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. The house, the dream, the humming. I started driving past the ruins on my way home, just to see. It was worse in person. Charred beams sticking up like bones, weeds growing through the foundation. One night, I stopped the car and walked in. The air was thick, like breathing through a wet cloth. I stepped over broken glass and found myself in what used to be a living room. And there, on the floor, half buried in ash, was a small music box. I picked it up. It was cold. I opened it. Inside, a tiny ballerina spun slowly, playing a tune I'd never heard but somehow knew. It was the same melody from my dream. I took it home. That night, the humming didn't come from the dream. It came from my living room. I got up, heart in my throat, and followed the sound. The music box was on the coffee table, lid open, spinning on its own. And standing in the corner, facing the wall, was a woman. Long dress, hair down to her waist. She was humming. The same tune. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. After a minute, she stopped, turned slowly. Her face was burned, skin blackened, eyes hollow. But she was smiling. Then she whispered, "You brought it back." I passed out. When I woke up, the music box was gone. My phone was blinking. A message from Maya. "I'm sorry. I didn't think it would happen so fast." I called her. No answer. Texted. Nothing. I drove to her apartment. The door was unlocked. Inside, it was empty. No furniture. No photos. Just four walls and a single light bulb swinging from the ceiling. On the floor, written in what looked like ash, was a name, Lila. I left. Drove home. Locked every door. Checked every room. Sat on the couch, shaking, wondering if I was losing it. Then my phone buzzed. Another message from Maya. This time with a photo. It was me, asleep on the couch. Taken minutes ago. I jumped up, looked around. Nothing. Then the phone buzzed again. "You're not safe," it said. "She knows you have it." I didn't reply. I couldn't. I threw the phone across the room. Sat in the dark. Listened. Waited. Hours passed. Nothing. I finally stood, Walked to the bedroom, got into bed, pulled the covers up, closed my eyes, and then I felt it, a weight on the edge of the mattress. Slow, deliberate, like someone was sitting down. I didn't move, didn't open my eyes. The humming started again, soft at first, then louder, right beside my ear. I stayed still, pretended to sleep. The weight shifted, moved closer. Then a hand, cold, dry, slid under the blanket and took mine. I didn't pull away, because I knew. If I did, she'd know I was awake. And if she knew I was awake, she might not stop. So I lay there, breathing slow, heart hammering. Her fingers wrapped around mine tight. The humming filled the room. The bed creaked as she leaned in. And then, just before I thought I'd scream, the hand let go. The weight lifted. The humming faded. I waited 10 minutes, then 20. Finally, I opened my eyes. The room was empty. I got up, checked the house. Nothing. Went back to bed. Didn't sleep. Morning came. I found my phone. Checked it. No new messages. No missed calls. But the photo was still there. Me asleep. Taken from the foot of the bed. I deleted it. Went to work like nothing happened. That night, I came home. Lights off. Felt the air still. Quiet. I walked to the bedroom. And there it was. On the nightstand. The music box. Lid closed. I stared at it. Didn't touch it. Then, slowly, it opened on its own. The ballerina began to spin. The tune started. And from the corner of the room, a voice, soft, broken, whispered, "Thank you for bringing me back." I didn't run. I didn't scream. I just sat on the edge of the bed and waited, because I knew she wasn't done. And I knew, deep down, I'd never be alone again. I wasn't ready for, or they ghosted after 2 messages. But I was bored, sitting on my couch, eating cold pizza at 1 a.m., scrolling through the same memes I'd seen 3 times already. My roommate was out of town. The AC was making that weird clunking noise again, and the silence was starting to feel heavy, like the apartment was holding its breath. I opened the app, just to kill time. Swipe left on a guy holding a fish, left on someone with 10 selfies and sunglasses, right on a girl with a dog, left on another fish guy. Seriously, why are there so many fish? Then I saw her. Her name was Lila. First pic was her laughing in what looked like a sunlit kitchen, messy bun, flour on her cheek, holding up a lopsided cake. The caption said asterisk first attempt. Edible. Maybe. Asterisk next photo was her hiking, laughing again, dog beside her. Same dog from the other pic. A scruffy little mutt with one ear that flopped weird. Then a close-up of her hands, painting something. Messy watercolors, fingers stained blue and red. No gym mirror shots, no car flexes, no dumb quotes over sunsets. Just real stuff. Felt like she actually existed. We matched fast. Her opener was asterisk, you have the kind of face that looks like it's seen some questionable life choices. Tell me about one. Asterisk, I laughed out loud. I replied with the time I tried to microwave a burrito and set off the smoke alarm during a study group. She said she once accidentally mailed herself a box of expired protein bars and didn't notice until the post office called. We texted for hours. Not that fast. Frantic way people usually do. More like a slow rhythm, back and forth easy. She lived about 20 minutes away. Worked at a library. Liked horror movies, but only the old ones with bad special effects, and hated cilantro with a passion I found weirdly attractive. After 3 days, I asked if she wanted to meet. She said only if you promise not to be a serial killer. I said only if you promise not to be a ghost. She sent back a single photo. Her front porch, string lights. The dog sleeping on a faded blue mat. Asterisk here. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. bring wine. Red. Not sweet. Asterisk I said I would. The next day, I drove over in my beat-up Honda, windows down, music low. Her neighborhood was quiet, older houses with big trees, sidewalks cracked in places. The kind of place where people still have porch swings and garden gnomes. I found her street, parked, grabbed the bottle I picked up, a cheap Merlot with a vineyard name I couldn't pronounce, and walked up the path. Her house was white with dark green shutters, flowers blooming wild in the front. The dog barked once, then quieted. The door opened before I even knocked. She smiled. Looked just like her photos, but more. Her eyes were this weird mix of green and gray, and she had a tiny scar above her eyebrow. We hugged, awkward at first, then it felt natural. She took the wine, thanked me, led me inside. The house smelled like cinnamon and old books. Cozy. Warm. Not too clean, not too messy. Lived in. We sat on her couch. Dog curled at her feet and talked. About books, about bad reality TV, about the time she got locked in a library after hours. She told it like it was no big deal, but I could tell she loved that story. I told her about my job, how I fix printers for a living, how sometimes I feel like I'm slowly turning into one. She laughed, not like it was funny, but like she actually got it. We finished the wine. She offered another glass. I said yes. Time slipped. The sky outside went from orange to deep blue. She put on a movie, The Haunting Asterisk from 1963, grainy and slow. I wasn't really watching. I kept noticing little things. The way her hair caught the lamplight, the way she tucked her feet under her, the way she hummed a little when she was thinking. Then the power went out. The screen went black. The room went silent. No hum from the fridge, no AC, nothing. Just dark. She didn't panic. Happens sometimes, she said. Storm's been brewing all day. She got up, moved through the dark like she knew every step. I heard a drawer open, then the scratch of a match. A candle flickered to life on the coffee table. The flame made shadows dance on the walls, long, stretching shapes that looked like hands reaching. I stayed put. The dog didn't move, didn't even lift its head. We sat there, quiet for a minute. Then she said, "You ever feel like someone's watching you? Not in a creepy way, just present." I said I had. Mostly when I'm alone late at night, like the house is aware of me. She nodded. This house does that. Not scary, just observant. I laughed, but it came out flat. She leaned forward. I used to live here with my sister. She died 2 years ago. Car accident. Drunk driver. I didn't know what to say, so I just said I was sorry. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She loved this house. Said it protected us. I think she's still here. Not like a ghost. More like a memory that won't fade. I nodded, not sure if I believed her, but not wanting to argue. Then the candle flickered. Not from wind. There was no wind. It dipped low, then flared up, casting her face in sharp relief. For a second, her eyes looked wrong. Too wide. Too dark. I blinked. Normal again. She stood. I'm gonna check the fuse box. Be right back. She walked down the hall, bare feet silent on the wood. I heard a door open, then the sound of a metal box clicking open. The dog lifted its head, ears twitching, then settled again. I looked around. The shadows felt thicker now. The air felt heavier, like pressure before a storm. I picked up my phone. No service. Wi-Fi was down too. Then I heard it. A whisper. Not from the hallway. From behind me. I turned. Nothing. Just a dark living room. The candles still burning. Then, clear as anything. Don't trust her. I froze. The voice was soft, female, close. Like someone standing right behind the couch. I stood up. Heart thudding. Lila. No answer. I walked to the hallway. You okay? The fuse box door was open. The room was empty. No Lila. I called her name again, louder. Nothing. I went back to the living room. The candle was still burning. The dog was gone. I checked the kitchen. The back door was open, screen door swaying in the breeze. I stepped outside. Lila. Silence. The yard was dark, trees swaying. No sign of her. No sign of the dog. I went back in, closed the door, locked it. My hands were shaking. I sat back on the couch, trying to calm down. Maybe she went to look for the dog. Maybe she stepped out for air. Maybe I was overreacting. Then I saw it. On the coffee table, next to the candle. A photo. It was Lila. Same messy bun, same smile. But she was younger. And next to her, another girl. Same eyes. Same nose. Her sister. But that's not what made my stomach drop. The photo was dated. 2 days ago. I picked it up. The paper was cold. Too cold. And underneath, in neat handwriting, asterisk she's not real. I am asterisk. I heard footsteps behind me. Slow. Deliberate. I turned. Lila stood in the doorway. But her face, that wasn't right. Her smile was too wide. Her eyes were black in the candlelight. Not reflective. Just empty. You shouldn't have come, she said. Her voice was wrong. Layered. Like two people speaking at once. I backed up. What's going on? She wanted company. The thing said. I gave her that. Now she wants you. I turned, ran for the door. Fumbled with the lock. It wouldn't turn. Like it was stuck. I heard her step closer. You liked her, didn't you? You thought she was real. I yanked the door. It opened. I ran to my car, fumbled with the keys, started it, slammed it into reverse. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing in the driveway, smiling, holding the dog. Except the dog wasn't moving, wasn't breathing, just dangling from her hand like a rag. I drove. Fast. Didn't look back. Got home. Locked the door. Checked every room. Turned on every light. Next morning, I searched her name. No social media. No library records. No obituaries. But I found a news article from 2 years ago. 2 sisters. Car accident. Both died. One was named Lila. The other was named Mara. Mara was the one who loved the house. Mara was the one who said it protected them. And the house. It burned down 6 months later. Arson. No suspects. I haven't been back. Haven't used Tinder since. But sometimes, late at night, my phone buzzes. One message. No name. Just a photo. A candlelit room. A couch. And 2 wine glasses. One full. One empty. Waiting. So I downloaded Tinder again because, honestly, what else was I going to do on a Friday night? My friends were all either in relationships or out doing stuff without me, and I was stuck in my apartment eating cold pizza and scrolling through memes like a sad gremlin. The last time I used it, it was a disaster. Guys either ghosted after one message or showed up looking nothing like their pictures. But this time, I told myself, it's going to be different. I refreshed my bio, added some better pics, nothing too try-hard, just me smiling in natural light, me holding a dog that wasn't mine but looked cute, me at a concert I barely remembered, and hit go. That's when I saw him. His name was Daniel. Clean cut, dark hair, eyes that looked like they could see through you. Not in a creepy way. Well, not at first. He had that quiet confidence in his photos, standing by a lake, cooking in a kitchen, reading a book on a porch. His bio said he liked long walks, bad horror movies, and making people laugh. Nothing wild, nothing cringy. Just normal. Too normal? Maybe. But I swipe right. Match. We started talking, and it was easy. Like stupidly easy. We joked about how every guy on the app claims to love hiking, but never posts a single trail pic. He made fun of his own cooking fails. Sent a blurry video of a pancake exploding in a pan. I sent him a selfie with my cat sitting on my head. We fell into that weird rhythm where you forget you're texting someone you've never met, like you've known them for years. 3 days in, he asked if I wanted to meet up. I hesitated. Not because I was scared. He seemed genuinely chill, but because the last time I met someone from Tinder, the guy spent the whole day talking about his ex and then asked me to lend him $20. But Daniel was different. He suggested coffee at this little place downtown, neutral ground, nothing sketchy. I said yes. The morning of, I woke up way too early, buzzing with nervous energy. I took forever picking an outfit: jeans, boots, a sweater that wasn't too tight, but still showed I didn't roll out of bed like a zombie. I checked my phone every 2 minutes, half hoping he'd cancel, half hoping he wouldn't. He sent a good morning text with a sun emoji. Cute. I left my apartment around noon. The sky was overcast, that gray blanket that hangs low before rain. The streets were quiet, most people still asleep or tucked inside with their weekend plans. I walked fast, not because I was in a hurry, but because the silence made me uneasy. Too much space between sounds. A car door slamming 3 blocks away sounded like a gunshot. When I got to the cafe, He wasn't there. I grabbed a table by the window, ordered a latte, and tried not to look at the door every 3 seconds. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I checked my phone, no messages. I told myself he was just late. Traffic. Missed the bus. Dog ate his keys. Whatever. But the longer I sat there, the more my skin started to crawl. Then my phone buzzed. Sorry, something came up. Can we reschedule? I stared at the screen. That was it. No explanation. No, hey, running late. Just a one-liner? I typed out a reply. Sure, no problem. Then stopped. Something felt off. Not just the flake, but the timing. The way the message came exactly when I was starting to panic. Like he'd been watching. I left the cafe and started walking back, telling myself I was overreacting. Maybe he had an emergency. Maybe his mom fell or his car broke down. But the more I walked, the more I noticed things. A black sedan, 2 cars behind me on the main road. It stayed there, same distance, even when I turned corners. I ducked into a convenience store, bought gum I didn't need, and watched through the glass. The car didn't stop, just kept going. I told myself it was nothing. But that night, I woke up to my phone lighting up. A message from Daniel. You look nice today. My heart dropped. I checked the time, 2:17 a.m. I didn't reply. I couldn't. My fingers were frozen. How did he know what I was wearing? Did he follow me? Was he outside? I got up, locked my bedroom door, checked the front door, the windows. Everything was shut. I sat on the couch with the lights off, staring at the street through the blinds. Nothing moved. No cars. No shadows. Just silence. The next morning, I deleted the message. Told myself it was a prank. A wrong number. Anything but the truth. But then, another message. I liked your boots. I blocked him. Immediately. Deleted the app. Changed my number. Thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. A week later, I came home from work and found a package on my doorstep. No return address. Just my name, handwritten. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity is a stupid thing. Inside was a pair of boots. Not just any boots, my asterisk boots. The ones I wore that day. The ones I'd left at my ex's place 6 months ago when I moved out. I called the cops. They came, took pictures, asked a bunch of questions. Said they'd look into it, but without proof, there wasn't much they could do. They left. I stayed up all night with the lights on. Then, 2 days later, I got an email. From a storage facility I'd never heard of. Subject line. Overdue payment, Unit 17B. I didn't have a storage unit. I opened it anyway. Attached was a photo. It was me. Sleeping. The angle was from the foot of my bed. The photo was taken at night. The room dark except for the faint glow of my phone on the nightstand. I recognized the blanket, the crack in the ceiling, the stupid glow-in-the-dark stars I never took down. It was my room. And someone had been in it. I moved out the next day. Crashed on my cousin's couch. Told her a guy I dated got creepy. Didn't want to go into details. She didn't ask. I bought a new phone, new laptop, even a new email. Changed everything. Thought I was safe. I wasn't. Last night I heard something. A soft thud from the hallway. I froze. My cousin's asleep in the other room. I grabbed the baseball bat she keeps by the door. She's paranoid about break-ins, and crept out. The hall was dark. I flipped the switch. Nothing. No one. Then I saw it. A sticky note on the bathroom mirror. You always forget to lock the window. I backed up so fast I tripped. My heart was slamming. I checked the bathroom window. Locked. Always locked. I've been checking it 10 times a day since this whole thing started. I called my cousin. Told her I needed to leave. Now. She drove me to a motel, paid for a room, hugged me, and said it'll be okay. I didn't believe her. I'm here now. Sitting on the edge of the bed. Door chained, lights on, phone in hand. I just checked my email one last time before bed. There's a new message. From me. Sent 5 minutes ago. Subject, I'm in the room next door. And attached is a photo. Of me. Right now. What else was I going to do on a Friday night? My friends were all either in relationships or out doing their own thing. and I was stuck at home scrolling through memes like a loser. I thought, why not? Maybe someone cool would swipe right. Not looking for anything serious, just someone to grab a drink with. Maybe see if there's any kind of spark. I wasn't desperate, just bored, and the idea of meeting someone new felt like a small adventure. I matched with this girl named Lila pretty fast. Her profile was clean, no crazy party pics, no gym selfies, just a few shots of her in nature, smiling, holding a coffee, one with a dog I didn't recognize. She had dark hair, sharp cheekbones, and this look in her eyes like she knew something you didn't. Her bio said she liked long walks, indie films, and overthinking. I thought that was kind of funny. We started chatting, and she was actually interesting. Not just, hey, how's your day boring? She asked questions, made jokes, remembered little things I mentioned. It felt real. After a couple days of texting, she suggested we meet up at this little wine bar downtown called the Hollow Vine. Said it was quiet, cozy, and had the best Merlot in the city. I checked the reviews, 4.5 stars, dim lighting, wooden floors. The kind of place people go to have real conversations. Sounded perfect. The night of the date, I put on my black jacket, the one that makes me look like I have my life together, and drove across town. The Hollow Vine was tucked between a laundromat and a shuttered bookstore, easy to miss if you weren't looking. The sign was small, flickering a little, like it hadn't been fixed in years. Inside, it was exactly how she described, warm light, shelves lined with old books, soft jazz playing low. I scanned the room and spotted her near the back, sitting at a corner table, wrapped in a red sweater, sipping something dark. She looked even better in person. When she saw me, she smiled, and for a second, I felt that stupid nervous excitement you only get when you think maybe, just maybe, this could go somewhere. We talked for hours. About books, travel, weird dreams, childhood memories. She told me she used to live in the mountains, that she moved here after a breakup, that she worked part-time at an art gallery. Everything she said felt genuine, layered. She wasn't just giving me surface stuff. There was depth. I found myself telling her things I hadn't told anyone. How I used to sleep with the lights on when I was a kid. How I still check the locks 3 times before bed. How sometimes I get this feeling like someone's watching me from the hallway. She listened, really listened, and when I finished, she just nodded and said, I know that feeling. Like your skin remembers something your brain forgot. By the time we left, it was past midnight. The streets were empty, the air cool and thick with the smell of wet pavement. She said she lived just a few blocks away and offered to walk me to my car. I didn't mind. We walked slowly, shoulders almost touching, talking about nothing and everything. Then she stopped in front of an old apartment building, brick, chipped paint. One of the windows on the 3rd floor cracked. This is me, she said, pointing up. You want to come up? Just for a drink. 1 drink. I hesitated. I wasn't sure. But she looked at me with that same calm smile, and something about the way she said it made it feel like saying no would be rude. So I followed. The inside was dusty, quiet. The elevator didn't work, so we took the stairs. Her place was on the 3rd floor. When she opened the door, it was darker than I expected. No lamps on, just the glow from a streetlight outside. The apartment was small but neat, wooden floors, a couch, a bookshelf full of old paperbacks, a record player in the corner. She offered me wine, same kind we had at the bar. I said sure. She went into the kitchen, and I sat on the couch, looking around. That's when I noticed the photos. They were framed, lined up on the shelf above the TV. Dozens of them, all women, different ages, different styles, but all smiling, all in the same pose, half-turned, looking over their shoulder like they were caught mid-laugh. I leaned closer. Something about their eyes. They all had the same look. Not happy. Not really. It was like they were trying to look happy, but something underneath was off, like fear masked as joy. I was still staring when she came back with 2 glasses. Followed her gaze. Didn't say anything at first. Then she said, those are my friends. We used to meet here all the time, before they moved away. Her voice was calm, but there was a flatness to it, like she was reciting lines. I nodded, took the glass, tried to shake the weird feeling crawling up my neck. We sat in silence for a minute. The music from downstairs had stopped. No cars outside. Just quiet. Then she said, I've been watching you for a while. Not in a creepy way. Just paying attention. I froze. What? I said. She smiled, the same one from the bar, but it didn't reach her eyes this time. I've seen your profile for months. You never changed your main photo. Same jacket, same street corner. You always sit on the same side of the booth when you go out. You check your phone exactly 7 times before you leave a place. How do you know that? I asked, my voice tighter. Because I've been there, she said. At the coffee shop, the park, the gas station on 5th. I've seen you. I've followed you. My hands went cold. I stood up, said I should go. She didn't move. Just kept sipping her wine. You don't have to be scared, she said. I'm not going to hurt you. I just wanted to know what it felt like to have someone choose me. Not because I followed them, not because I waited, but because they actually saw me. I backed toward the door, heart slamming. She stayed on the couch, calm, like this was all part of the plan. I turned the knob. Locked. Of course it was locked. I turned back. She was still sitting, but now her hands were folded in her lap, her head tilted slightly. You remind me of him, she said. The first one. He was kind too. Thought he could fix me. But people can't be fixed. They just disappear. I looked at the photos again. Really looked. One of the women, I'd seen her before. Not in person. On the news. Missing person report from 2 years ago. Another one, same thing. Found in a river last winter. I couldn't breathe. She stood up slowly. I don't want to hurt you, she said. But you're here now. And I can't let you leave. Not after all this time. Not after I finally got someone to come home with me. I backed into the door, fumbling for my phone. No signal. Of course. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. She took a step forward. Then another. Her face didn't change. Still that same soft smile. Like she was comforting a child. I don't know how long I stood there, frozen, watching her move toward me. The last thing I remember is the sound of the record player clicking on by itself, some old jazz song humming through the silence, and her voice, low and steady, saying, "Don't worry, you'll be with the others soon." And then nothing. I woke up in my car, parked outside my apartment. Sunlight through the windshield. My jacket was on, keys in the ignition. No sign I'd ever left. I checked my phone. No missed calls. No messages from Lila. No conversation on Tinder. I opened the app. Her profile was gone. Not deactivated. Not blocked. Just not there. Like she never existed. I thought maybe I imagined it. Maybe I fell asleep. Had a nightmare. But then I found it. In my jacket pocket. A small, folded piece of paper. I opened it. A photo. Me, sitting in my car. Last night. Right before I walked into the hollow vine. And on the back, handwritten, 3 words, "See you soon." So I met her on Tinder, obviously. I mean, who doesn't? It wasn't like I was desperate or anything. But after 3 months of swiping left on girls who looked like they only ate kale and posted sunset yoga poses, I finally matched with someone who didn't make me want to delete the app. Her name was Maya, and her pictures were normal, actually normal. One was her laughing in front of a record store. Another was her holding a coffee cup with a dog poking its nose into the frame. And the last was a blurry shot of her hiking boots on a rocky trail. No duck faces, no mirror selfies in underwear, no weird fisheye lens crap. Just real. Her bio said, "I like thunderstorms, bad movies, and making people laugh. Also, I can beat you at Mario Kart." That was it. Something about that simplicity made me swipe right without even thinking. We started talking that same night. She responded fast, but not too fast, like she was trying too hard. She had this dry humor, the kind that sneaks up on you. I told her I worked in IT for a small company that no one's ever heard of, and she said she was a freelance illustrator who mostly drew for indie board games. We talked about stupid stuff, our favorite pizza toppings, pineapple, which I defended aggressively, whether Die Hard was a Christmas movie, it is, and how we both hate when people chew with their mouths open. It felt easy. Like actually easy. After a few days, I asked if she wanted to grab a drink. She said sure, but only if I promised not to ghost her like the last guy who bailed last minute saying his cat had a mental breakdown. I laughed and said no promises, but I'd try. We picked this little dive bar downtown, the kind with sticky floors and neon beer signs that flicker like they're about to die. I got there first and grabbed a corner booth near the back. It was a Thursday, so it wasn't packed, just a few regulars scattered around. One guy nursing a beer while staring at the pool table like he was solving the meaning of life. I was scrolling through my phone when she walked in. She looked exactly like her photos, which, let's be real, is rare. Wore a faded band tee I didn't recognize, ripped jeans, and a black denim jacket with a pin that said question authority. Her hair was dark and messy in a way that looked intentional, but not try hard. She spotted me, smiled, and slid into the booth like she'd been doing it for years. We ordered drinks. She got a rum and Coke. I stuck with beer and just started talking. Not the awkward first date small talk, but real conversation. She told me about how she grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone, and how she moved to the city to escape her mom's constant nagging about getting a real job. I told her about my weird obsession with old horror VHS tapes, and how I still have a working DVD player because I refused to give in to streaming. She didn't roll her eyes. She actually asked me what my favorite was. 3 hours passed like 30 minutes. The bar emptied out. The music got quieter, and the bartender started wiping down the counter like a hint. We were both laughing about something dumb, something about how squirrels are just rats with good PR, when she said, "You know, I live just around the corner. We could continue this there if you want. I have a killer collection of horror movies." I hesitated for half a second, not because I was scared, but because it felt too smooth, too perfect. But she wasn't pushy. She just tilted her head and said, "Or we can call it a night. No pressure." So I said, yeah, sure, why not? Her apartment was on the 3rd floor of this old brick building that looked like it hadn't been renovated since the 80s. The elevator didn't work, so we took the stairs. The hallway smelled like old carpet and something faintly sweet, like someone had spilled syrup years ago and no one ever cleaned it. Her place was small but cozy. Fairy lights strung across the ceiling, a record player in the corner, a bookshelf crammed with paperbacks and board games. A black cat jumped onto the couch and stared at me like I was under review. She put on a movie, some obscure Italian zombie flick from the 70s, and we sat on the couch with a bowl of popcorn. At first, it was cool. We made fun of the bad dubbing, argued about whether the zombies were actually vampires in disguise, and she kept refilling my drink. But then, halfway through, she got quiet. Not awkward quiet, more like focused. She kept looking at me, but not in a flirty way. More like she was studying me. Like I was a puzzle she was trying to solve. I started feeling it then. Not scared exactly, but off. Like the air had gotten heavier. The movie's soundtrack was all low drones and eerie whispers, and the lights from the TV flickered across the walls. She wasn't laughing anymore, just watching me. I tried to joke about it, said something like, "What? Do I have popcorn on my face?" But she didn't respond, just smiled. A small, tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. Then she said, "You're not like the others." I froze. "What do you mean?" She leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees. "The other guys, the ones who said yes, they all thought it was going to be something else. But you're different. You actually listened. You actually saw me." I didn't know what to say. My heart was thudding, but I told myself to chill. Maybe she was just intense. Maybe she was into me in a deep way. But something in her voice, flat, almost rehearsed, made my skin prickle. I looked around for my phone. It was on the coffee table, next to her keys and a small silver lighter. She stood up suddenly and walked to the kitchen. "Want another drink?" she called over her shoulder. I said no thanks. I should probably head out. It's late. She came back anyway, holding a fresh glass. "You don't have to go," she said. "I like talking to you. I feel like I've known you forever." I stood up, trying to keep it casual. "Yeah, it's been great, but I've got an early day tomorrow." She didn't move, just stood there, blocking the path to the door. The cat hissed and darted under the couch. "I don't think you understand," she said. You're not leaving. My breath caught. What? She set the glass down slowly. I've been waiting for someone like you. Someone who gets it, who sees the world the way I do. The others, they were just noise. But you're real. I took a step back. Maya, this isn't funny. She tilted her head again, that same unnerving smile. I'm not joking. I've been watching you. For weeks. Since you liked my profile. I know where you work. I know your routine. I know you live alone. I know you don't have family nearby. My stomach dropped. You're serious. I followed you once, she said, calm, like she was talking about the weather. To that video store on 5th. You smiled at the old guy behind the counter. You always hold the door for people. You're kind. And kind people don't survive long out there. Not really. So I'm keeping you here, where you're safe. I bolted for the door. She was fast, faster than I expected, and grabbed my arm. I twisted, shoved her back, and yanked the door open. I didn't look back. I flew down the stairs, 2 at a time, my breath ragged, my hands shaking. I hit the street and didn't stop running until I was 3 blocks away, ducking into a 24-hour gas station. I called a cab, locked myself in my apartment, and didn't sleep all night. I blocked her on everything, Tinder, Instagram, phone. Changed my number the next day. For 2 weeks, I checked over my shoulder constantly. I stopped going to the video store. I avoided that part of town. I told myself I was being paranoid, that she was just some weird girl who got too intense, that it would blow over. Then, last night, I came home and found it. On my kitchen table. A single Polaroid photo. Me sleeping in my bed, taken from the corner of the room. And on the back, written in neat cursive, asterisk, you can't run. I already know where you live, asterisk. I never thought swiping right on some random girl would lead to me sitting in my car outside an abandoned gas station at 2 in the morning, heart slamming against my ribs like it wanted out. But here I was, engine off, windows fogged, hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles looked like they'd been bleached. The streetlights hadn't worked in years, and the only light came from my phone screen, glowing like a dying firefly in the passenger seat. Her last message still burned in my head. Asterisk, just parked near the old pumps. I'll find you, asterisk. It started 3 days ago. I was bored, scrolling through Tinder like I do every Sunday night when the silence in my apartment gets too loud. Her profile was simple, just 3 pictures. One of her laughing in front of a bookstore, another at what looked like a music festival, arms in the air. And the third was just her eyes. Close up, like she was staring right into the camera, into me. No smile, no filter. Just these dark, heavy-lidded eyes that made me pause mid-swipe. Her bio said, I like quiet places and long drives at night. That was it. Something about it felt like a dare. We matched. Conversation flowed weirdly easy. She didn't ask the usual stuff, job, hometown, favorite movie. Instead, she asked if I ever felt like someone was watching me when I was alone. If I'd ever driven down an empty road and been certain there was a car behind me, even when the rear view was dark. I joked that maybe she was the one stalking me. She replied, maybe I am. I laughed it off, but that night, lying in bed, I kept thinking about those eyes. By Wednesday, we were texting every few hours. She said she lived on the outskirts of town, near the old industrial stretch where the factories shut down in the 90s. Said she liked the quiet. Said she didn't trust people who talked too much. I told her I worked in IT, lived alone, had a dog that barked at shadows. She said, sounds like you're not so different from me. Thursday night, she asked if I wanted to meet. Not dinner, not a bar, just a drive. Said she knew a place with no lights, no people, just stars. I hesitated, not because I was scared, but because it felt too strange, too fast. But then she sent a voice note. Her voice was low, calm, like she was half asleep. Asterisk, you don't have to come if you don't want to. But if you do, I think you'll understand why we matched. Asterisk. I went. I drove for 40 minutes past closed strip malls and boarded up diners until the road turned to gravel and the trees closed in like walls. My GPS died 3 miles back. No signal, no street signs. Just her messages guiding me. Asterisk turn left at the broken stop sign. Keep going until you see the red roof. Asterisk. And then I saw it, the old Sinclair station. Paint peeling. Pumps rusted into skeletons. Glass doors shattered. I parked near the back, where the weeds had swallowed the asphalt. My phone buzzed. Asterisk stay in the car. I'm coming asterisk. That's when the dread hit. Not fear, not yet. Just this slow, sinking feeling that I'd made a mistake. Like stepping on a floorboard that creaks too loud in a quiet house. I checked the locks. Scrolled through my messages again. Everything seemed normal, but the air in the car had gone thick, like I was breathing through a wet towel. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. The headlights reflected off the cracked concrete, casting long shadows that twitched when I moved. I thought I saw something near the back of the building, a shape, low to the ground, shifting between the support beams. I leaned forward, squinting. Nothing. Just the wind pushing a plastic bag in circles. Then my phone lit up. A photo. It was a picture of me. Not a selfie. Not a screenshot. A real photo of me, sitting in my car, one hand on the wheel, the other holding my phone, face lit by the screen. Taken from outside. I jerked back, heart kicking into overdrive. I scanned the darkness. Nothing moved. I checked the photo again. The angle was low, like it was taken from near the ground, and in the reflection of the windshield, just barely visible, was a shadow, tall, thin, standing behind me. I unlocked the doors, ready to bolt. But then another message, asterisk you're safe. I just wanted to see you up close. I'm here, asterisk. A figure stepped out from behind the building. It was her. She looked exactly like her pictures, same messy brown hair, same faded denim jacket. But her walk was off. Too smooth, like she was gliding. No footsteps. No crunch of gravel. Just her moving toward the car, hands in her pockets, head slightly tilted. I rolled the window down a crack. Hey, I said, voice cracking. She didn't answer, just stared. Then she smiled. Not a friendly smile. The kind you see on a cat before it pounces. You came, she whispered. I nodded, trying to smile back. Yeah, you look exactly like your pics. She leaned closer, one hand on the door. Her skin looked too pale, almost gray in the dark. You're nervous. Little bit, I admitted. This place is kind of creepy. It's quiet, she said. That's why I like it. No noise. No lies. Just truth. I didn't know what to say to that. She kept staring, unblinking. I glanced at my phone. Still no signal. Want to get in? I asked, more to break the silence than anything. She shook her head. Not yet. I want to show you something first. She turned and walked toward the back of the station, not looking back to see if I followed. I hesitated, but getting out felt like the only way to prove I wasn't scared. I stepped out, gravel crunching under my shoes, and followed. The back wall was covered in graffiti, names, symbols, warnings in red spray paint. But in the center, someone had taped up a series of photos. Dozens of them. All men. All in cars. All taken at night. And every single one was me. Not different angles. Not old pictures. Each one showed me at a different time. Me grabbing coffee. Me walking my dog. Me unlocking my apartment door. One was even from inside my bedroom, taken from the window across the street. My breath stopped. I turned to her, but she wasn't there. I spun around. The parking lot was empty. My car was still where I left it, but the passenger door was wide open. I ran. I didn't think. I just moved. I jumped in, slammed the door, turned the key. The engine roared to life. I threw it in reverse, tire spitting gravel, and peeled out before I even checked the mirrors. I didn't stop driving until I was back on the highway, streetlights flickering past like a strobe. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I pulled over at a 24-hour gas station, called the police, reported everything. They asked for her name. I didn't know it. Her profile was gone. My messages deleted. The photo of me in the car vanished. They said there was nothing they could do. No crime. No evidence. Just a guy spooked by a bad day. I went home. Checked every lock. Turned on every light. Sat on the couch, staring at the front door like it might burst open. That's when I noticed it. On the coffee table, Next to my keys was a small, folded piece of paper. I didn't remember bringing it in. I opened it. Just 2 words, written in neat, careful handwriting. "You're next." I threw it in the trash, called my brother, stayed on the phone until sunrise. 2 days passed. I didn't leave the house. Didn't open the app. Deleted it completely. Then, yesterday, my dog started barking at the window. I looked out. Nothing. But when I checked my phone, there was a new notification. Tinder. I didn't open it. I uninstalled the app again. But that night, I woke up to the sound of tapping. On the window. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. And then, slow and soft, like a whisper through glass, I heard it. A knock. 3 times. Pause. Then 3 more. I stayed in bed, eyes wide, until the sun came up. This morning, I found footprints in the dirt outside my back door. Small, barefoot, leading from the edge of the woods to my window and back. I'm writing this now because I don't know what else to do. I can't call the police again. They'll think I'm crazy. But I know she's still out there, watching, waiting, and I know she's not done. I just got another message. Not on Tinder. On my work email. Subject line, "I miss our drives." Attached is a video. It starts in darkness. Then the camera pans up. It's my bedroom. Night vision green. I'm asleep. And standing in the corner, barely visible, is a figure. Hand raised. Fingers spread. Counting.